digital modulation technique. This one, delta modulation techniques. In short, we call it SDM. We have seen that in the case of, I'm just giving you the recap. In the case of PCM, possible modulations, we have seen that whole signal is quantized and included. But in the case of DPCM, we have seen that just the difference between the particular sample value and the predicted value is quantized and sampled and then quantized and encoded. And then it being sent. In the case of DPCM, it's dynamic range. That is the error between the that is the error between the actual signals and the predicted signal is very small. And since the this range becomes small, so it requires the less numbers of quantizations, less numbers of the bits to represent each quantizations level. At the same time, the quantizations noise and correspondingly quantization reduces. So we go for the DPCM. And at the same time, we have seen that the PCM transmit the numbers of redundant information. So it does not carry any specific information. So the same information we are transmitting again and again. So that is also minimized in the case of PCM. And if you talk about the transmission bandwidth, so transmission bandwidth for the PCM we have calculated it is equal to the M. And since this M number of bits to represent each quantization's level percent reduces in the case of DPCM. So the bandwidth in the case of DPCM, transmission bandwidth in the case of DPCM also reduces. Now, then we have switched to the delta modulation system. In the delta modulations, we have seen that rather than, although we are taking this M by some digit, like suppose in the case of PCM, if we take the M equals to 4, then in the case of DPCM, we may take this M equals to this transmission bandwidth reduces. And in case of delta modulations, what we do, we further try to reduce this M. So this M in this case we take it. That is each sample value to transmit either by the 0 or by the 1. That's why this delta modulation is also called a 1-bit PCM. That if it is M equals to 1, it is nothing but the 1-bit PCM. And the transmission bandwidth in this case will be simply M. Transmission bandwidth for the PCM is MFM, then if you take the M equals to 1, the 1 bit, it is nothing but the FM. So you can see the transmission bandwidth for the delta modulation reduces by M. So this is a major advantage with as compared to the PCM. And at the same time, circuitry of this delta modulation is very simple. As you can see, that just by using a comparator, okay, and integrator and summer, we can actually perform the delta modulation system. Just compared to this PCM, the circuitry for the generation and detection of the delta modulation is simple. Okay. But at the same time, the delta modulation suffers with the two drawbacks. One is called a slow power, and another is called as granular mass. So, what is low power load? What is granular mass? I was discussing this last time. So I will be discussing in more details about the slow power load and the granular mass today itself. But coming to the just recap of that delta modulation signal. For that, we take the time to signals directly and give it out before sampling. Just we take that message signal, okay? And then the in the case of DPCM, the feedback network was predicted. We have seen last time that this predictor in the case of delta modulation is nothing but a delay system by TS. And this delay system in the whole feedback network, including that summer error, simply becomes the accumulator. And that accumulator in the time domain is nothing but it. In the feedback network, we have simply replaced that accumulator by the integrator amplifier. So this integrator amplifier simply gives you the staircase function, right? Right? You can see this one is the message signal. Then this accumulator is nothing but simply the predictor. It will predict the value of the message signal. That is, it will simply give you the staircase type of functions with respect to this message signal. And this comparator or summer, the differentiator, what you can see, it simply takes the difference between the empty that are this predicted signal. Now you can see that staircase function, which is called as LPQ. So this error, which is given as G, may be passed to. So when it will be passed to when empty is greater than empty. When it will be negative when this empty is less than empty. So in this, so correspondingly, Correspondingly, the output of this GT will be positive and negative corresponding this comparator output will be positive or negative. So that is, if this GT is positive, then comparator output simply gives the delta. That is, there is a step up. And if it is negative, then comparator output is nothing but minus delta. That is, there is a step down. So depending upon delta and minus delta, the input of this integrated changes and corresponding this M2 cap M cap QT changes. So it simply follows that message signal or message signal MT. What happens? So looking to this figure, see that how can we generate the analog signals, how can we convert the MT, which is analog signals to the equivalent digital signals. So this DQT is nothing but the that is it will be either plus E or it will be either minus E, and then but this will also be in the continuous. It is the function of time t. It will also be continuous time functions. But we need to convert into the digital form. So we take the this continuous time signal passes to the sampler, which is having the very high frequency, sampling frequency as compared to what we have used in the case of PCM. And then after sampling, we can have this lead signals. And then we can encode it and transmit. This simply gives us this modulator signal. It gives us the impulse like very short durations. Why the impulse like functions? Because the sampling frequency fs is much higher. We get the impulse like functions, which is we can say that this MT is converted to the digital data. Now to reconstruct our original message signal MT from this DQK, we can simply take the help of this feedback network, because you can see in the feedback network our input is nothing but the output of delta modulator, and then integrator. So this integrator output will be nothing but M2K and MCAP QT, and this MCAP QT behavior is very much similar to that of the message signal. You can see this is the staircase function MCAP QT. Its behavior is very much similar to that of the message signal MT, but it is not exactly same to that of the message signal MT. Because of that, we simply use the low pass filter at the output, and this low pass filter application of the low pass filter at the output of this data modulator is mandatory. Until unless we not use this low pass filter, we cannot get exactly the message signal. So we get the approximate value of our original message signal, which is given as M approximated P M bar P. So, and this M bar T is very much close to that of our original message signal if we pass it. So this is how we reconstruct our original message signal from the sample signals in the data modulations. Now, the same process as I explained with the help of these two block diagrams, we can also understand with the help of this action diagram. This one is the message signal and the continuous line is the message signal MT. And this staircase function is nothing but the M cap T, that is the approximate signal. What happens? So if this MC at the summer, this is also a comparator, nothing but the summer what we say, that one is the positive sign, another is the negative. This MT gets compared with this staircase function, this comparator. So if MT is greater, then there is a step down. If MT is greater, then there is a step up. If MT is less, then there is a step down. So you can see that here, depending upon the sampling frequency, here if you compare MT with this staircase function, MT is more, so there is a step up. Here still MT is more, so there is a step up. It will take the step up such that until unless it will not match with the MT. When it matches with the MT, then if that MT is slightly less than that staircase function's value, then there will be a step down, so that it can continuously follow our original message signal. So here it is step up, step up, step up, step up, and then here you can see this after step here our message signal is just smaller than very small amount. It's just smaller than to that of the message signal. If it is just smaller than our original message signal, then once it will compare, it will find that MT is greater than this status value. So it will have the up. Step up. So step up will be by the amount of delta, that is step size delta. What happens if this value would have been suppose here, then this delta would have been what get to here only. But because of this delta, this step size becomes large, and and this causes the large error if you compare with the MT with this step size functions value. And this error is nothing but the difference of the message signal value empty and this approximated value. So this error becomes large. So because of this error, as we have seen in the case of PCM, the quantization error, here it is because of this error, mean square value of this error is nothing but gamma noise. And this happens another step size delta. The maximum error in the case of delta modulation is from minus delta to delta. Whereas in the PCM, we have seen that the quantization error was from minus delta. So you can see the quantization error in the case of granular error, we can say ideal noise. In the case of delta modulation is because there is the whole step up by the delta and the error maximum error what is coming over here is the delta of course plus delta minus delta. Now in another case it is going to follow this message signal staircase functions to that of the message signal empty. What happens if there is a small variation of this message signal, continuous small variation of the message signal, then this staircase functions can easily follow message signal empty. But what happens if there is a sharp, that is the slope of this message signal is large as compared to the slope of this staircase functions. Then this staircase function is unable to follow exactly our original message signal. So this happens only because of the slope of the large variation of the message signals, big variation of the message signals with respect to time. So this is called as the slope overload. And in the slope overload, what happens? This staircase function is unable to follow to that of the message signal. We call it as slope overload. So these are two drawbacks in the case of delta modulation, that is the slope overload, and this arises when the slope of the message signal is fast, so very fast. And later on we will see that after this delta modulation, we will see that adaptive delta modulation, what happens? We try to minimize these two drawbacks of the delta modulation. We try to minimize these two drawbacks of the delta modulations. That is, we try to minimize the granular noise and we try to minimize the slope. If we talk about the slope overload minimization in the adaptive delta modulations, I will let you just want to give you the brief introductions about the adaptive delta modulations. That is, in adaptive delta modulations, what happens? In the delta modulations, what we do? This step size delta remain constant. This delta is constant, that is fixed in the delta modulation. Whereas in adaptive delta modulations, this step size changes according to the variation of the message signal. That is, this step size is not constant in the adaptive delta modulations. That is, in adaptive delta modulations, that is the step size is adaptive to that of the with respect to the message signal. It is not constant fits. What happens in the case of in the case of in the case of in the case of slope overload? What happens mainly that suppose here this type of output and the data modulator will get the delta modulations will be there because here you can see message signal is less than that of this staircase functions. So the output this dt will always be negative. This will be this always be negative. Then dqt this output of the comparator will also be negative. That is minus e, say minus e, and you can say minus delta minus delta. And hence the output of this one will always be negative. That is, we will be getting 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That is, either we will be getting the sequence of zeros or either we will be getting the sequence of ones in the case of slope overload. So as soon as this adaptive delta modulation finds that the output of the modulator output this delta modulator is a sequence of zeros or sequence of ones, then what it does, it simply increases the step size. I say delta to delta plus 0.5 delta. It increases that. I'm just taking the example. Step size by 1.5 delta. Once it increases the step size by 1.5 delta, what will happen? It reaches this value reaches to the message signal empty more quickly as compared to the delta modulation. So suppose even after increasing by 1.5 delta, if it does not reach to that of the message signal, then in the next step it increases by the then ultimately what will happen? This delta step size becomes adaptive to that of the message signal, and this step size in the adaptive delta modulation is not constant. And In the case of granular noise, what happens? We will see later on that in the case of granular noise, if suppose there is a small variation, if suppose there is a very small variation of the message signal, what happens? This will go plus delta, then again this will go minus delta, plus delta, minus delta, plus delta, minus delta. Then what will happen? Will receive the alternative 101. In the case of granular noise, output of the delta modulation is 101010. So what happens? Once in the data modulation, there is a processor, DSP processor. The DSP processor simply analyzes the sequence of the output of the data modulator. Rest of the blocks remain same. Only here we use the this one, DSP processor. The rest of the block diagrams of the it's it reduces because here we are getting the sequence of one. The previous one, this is delta reduced, so error reduces, and the granular noise will also reduce. So these two drawbacks of the granular noise and the slope overload are easily overcome in the case of adaptive data modulation. So what happens? So here, let us come to the data modulation. I have just given you the basic information. Because in the adaptive data modulations, we are not going to study a lot. Rather, we will see that just by using a processor over here, you can generate the adaptive data modulation system. Now, so you can see this is the error dt. This is the error response of the dt, and this the dt you can see there is a large difference between the empty and the staircase function. This error will be more, and this message signal is always greater than in this region. Message signal is always greater than to that of the staircase function. This error will also be fast. Here, this error maybe positive somewhere, maybe negative somewhere because this staircase function is following very nicely. And in the case of slope overload, our error will remain negative. And because of that one only, we are either will be getting the 0 0 0 0 sequence of zeros or sequence of so this is because of the slope overload. Now this GT is compared with the DQ, compared with the completer. So basically, the DQT will also be approximately same. But no, not approximately same. But whenever this dt is positive, whenever this dt is positive, this dqt will be plus, whenever negative, it will be minus, like this one. But it will be the continuous time frame. Okay. Then we simply get to the delta modulation. This is the basic operation of the delta modulation. So, but as I told you, the delta modulation suffers with the two drawbacks. One is the slope overload, another is the granular mass. So let us have some more discussion about the slope overload and the granular mass. So slope overload, if you talk about the slope overload, then as I told you that if you have a message signal MT and this one is having the approximately staircase functions which is given by M cap QT. So you can see here the slope is varying very fast. Message signal slope is varying very fast. So if the slope is varying very fast, then this staircase function is unable to follow original message signal. It is unable to follow our original message signal, so the output of the data modulator will be this. In this region, message signal is always greater than, always more than that of this staircase function. It will generate the sequence of ones. Whereas in this region, where the message signal amplitude is again varying very fast as compared to this staircase function. So in this region, we will be getting the sequence of zeros because the message signal is less than that of the staircase functions. So since then in the adaptive delta modulations, what happens? Since it realized the sequence of ones and zeros, ultimately it increases the step size. So suppose at this point output of the delta modulation is 1. In the next sequence also output of the delta modulator is 1. What happens in the next step in the adaptive delta modulation, this step size increases by 1.5. For example, 1.5. Still the output is 1. In the next step it increases further by 2. Still it is 1. In the next step, it is by the 3 delta. Ultimately, it reaches to the message signal quickly in the case of adaptive delta modulation, and anyhow, it minimizes the slope overload distortion. So, but suppose this message signal is empty, which is given by the sinusoidal signal. Then, if this is the sinusoidal signals, then here we want to find out a condition, that is, what conditions will be satisfied so that we can avoid the slope overload distortion. First, we'll find out the conditions that for what conditions the slope overload will arise, and then we will calculate the conditions. Reverse of that one will be nothing but that conditions in which we can avoid the slope overload. So this is our message signal. So when the slope overload will occur, when the slope of this empty, is much greater, is greater than you can see. The slope of this empty is greater than the slope of this staircase function. If you want to find out the slope of this empty, the slope of this empty is nothing but the differentiation of this empty. So we can easily find out the slope of this empty, and since empty we are considering the sinusoidal signal, so we can easily find out the differentiation of the sinusoidal signals easily. Now, the slope of this staircase function will be how much? This is the step size delta, and this is the sampling duration Ts. So the slope of this one is nothing but the delta. Yes. So we can find the conditions. That is, for what condition this slope overload will arise. Worst of that, we can use to evaluate the slope overload distortion. So let our analog signal is mt equals to am sin 2 pi fmt. So we have assumed our message signal as a sinusoidal signal, which is given by am sin 2 pi fmt. Now, the maximum slope, you can say, of the slope of this staircase function will be delta by ts only, because the slope of this staircase function is given by delta by ts. And the slope of this message signal is nothing but the d by dt of our message signal mt. Okay. This slope, when the slope overload distortion will take place, when the slope of this message signal is more than that of the slope of this staircase function. It means that the maximum value of the d by dt of the message signal, the slope of the analog signal, is greater than delta by ts. Delta by ts is nothing but the slope of this staircase function. If this condition will arise, it means we can say that there is a case of slope overload distortion. So since we have taken this empty as sinusoidal signal, so we can take the derivative of that am sin 2 pi fmt. So this will be greater than delta by ts. So maximum value of am 2 pi fm cos 2 pi fmt, mod of that one should be greater than delta by ts. And since we are taking the mod and the cos, maximum value of the cos 2 pi fmt is plus minus 1. So this value will be 1, and we can simply write this as am 2 pi fm. This value will be greater than delta by ts. In that case, the slope overload distortion will occur. And from that, we can calculate the amplitude of analog input signal. That is, if the amplitude of the analog input signal is greater than delta by 2 pi fm ts, then the slope overload distortion will occur. But to avoid the slope overload, if you take the amplitude of our analog signal less than that of this factor, that is delta by 2 pi fm, then we can avoid the slope overload specifically for the sinusoidal case, for the sinusoidal input signal case. So this is the conditions we arrived. That is, if we take the sinusoidal message signal, if we take the amplitude, maximum amplitude of that sinusoidal signal less than to that of the delta fm ts, and ts is the sampling time in second, and fm is the maximum frequency of the message signal. To fm ts, if we take the amplitude of that one is less than this factor, then we can avoid the slope overload distortion, specifically in the case of sinusoidal input. Our next topic is the signaling rate. This signaling rate also I have already explained. That is, signaling rate is nothing but, as we have seen in the case of PCM, that the signaling rate of the PCM is given as m into fs. So if we compare that PCM signaling rate with the delta modulations, then we know that this m is nothing but 1 in the case of delta modulation. If we put m equals to 1, we can say that the signaling rate of the delta modulation is nothing but fs. You can see the signaling rate of the delta modulator is less than by a factor of m as compared to the PCM. Similarly, the transmission bandwidth of the delta modulation is given by, in the case of PCM, the bandwidth is given by more than or should be greater than m into fm. This we have already derived. So if you take m equals to 1, the delta modulations, the bandwidth should be greater than m. The transmission value, minimum transmission value. This is the thing. The transmission value of data model should be at least equal to that of the FM. It should be equal to at least it should be equal to. Whereas in the case of data, in the case of PCM, we have seen that n into m. So these are the two advantages of the data model. That the signaling rate reduces and the transmission bandwidth increases. Now, coming to the kernel noise or ideal noise, like this case, we have already discussed about the slope overload. We have already derived the conditions for the slope overload. So let us study about the kernel noise and let us derive some conditions for that. And let us derive the signals to noise ratio that we have calculated in the case of PCM. Let us calculate the signals to noise ratio for the delta modulation. So, how can we calculate? So, let us have some no idea about the kernel noise. Then I will come to the calculation of the signals to noise ratio for the delta modulation. So, what happens? You can see if this is the message signal, PHU, this is the message signal. Then in this case, we can say that this staircase function is unable to follow message signal, which is the case of the slope overload distortion. Whereas in this case again, you can see if this value goes just over here, then what happens at this point? The value of this message signal and the staircase function is very much close to each other. But message signal is slightly more than that of this staircase function. So ultimately, it will jump by the step size delta. It will jump by the step approximately. It will jump by the step size delta. Then, because of that step size delta, this error becomes large, and because of that, it creates it generates the noise, and that is called as the noise arises in this case also, and in the case when the response of when the message signal varies very slow, the message signal varies, because in this region you can see the message signal varies by very small amount in the amplitude. You can see that when the message signal varies very slow, what happens if at this point this staircase function is approximated, then message signal is slightly more than that, then it goes up by the amount of delta. In the system, value varies very slow. What happens at this point also, this becomes slightly less than the other staircase functions. So it goes minus delta. So the total error in this case varies from minus delta to plus delta. And in the at the output, this data modulator output simply oscillate the minus delta plus delta minus delta plus delta. We can say 1 0 1 0 1 0 like that. This and this mass in this case is even more than 2 delta. This is the major problem of the delta modulation. So because of that, it offers the large German mass. So let us calculate the value of the German mass. So value of this German mass we can easily calculate, because we know that the German mass value for the case of PCM, quantization mass is given by delta square by 12, and quantization error for the PCM varies from minus delta by 2 to delta by 2. So this delta square by 12 so this delta square by 12, we can write it as say delta by 1 by 3 delta by 2 into delta by 2. We can write 2 to 4 4. And this delta by 2 in the PCM is equivalent to delta in the case of delta modulation. So this delta by 2 we can replace by delta into 1 by 3. So we can say del square by 3 is nothing but the value of quantization noise, the value of the German mass in the case of delta modulation. And this delta square by 3 is greater than that of the del square by 12. It means that we can say that the German mass even more in the case of delta modulation is even more greater than even more than the PC. So this was the serious topic. So we can now calculate the sinus masses. So that's the same things I have explained over here. That is, we want to calculate the output sinus masses. Sinus masses in the case of delta modulation. So how can we calculate the output sinus mass ratio? So We can simply because this signal power, we need to calculate the signal power and we need to calculate the noise power. Okay, so this signal power is nothing but the mean square value of the massive signal m square t, and we have seen in the case of PCM. And this noise power is nothing but the granular noise. Granular noise. So if we are able to calculate this noise power, in fact we have calculated, it is coming out to be and by square t is known. So just by taking the ratio of these two, we can enter expression of output signal to noise ratio. So let us see how it is. So as I told you, in the case of PCM, this NQ quantization noise is given as del square by 12, and del square by 12 we can write delta by 2 into 1 by 3, and delta by 2 step size in the PCM maximum error. In the case of PCM, same to that of the maximum error in the delta modulation, which is coming out to be delta. So we can write it as delta into 1 by 3 delta. Or we can prove this expression delta square by 3 in the similar way as we have already proved in the case of PCM. How can we prove this? Because this delta minus delta, delta is small, so we can assume that power probability density function that one is uniformly distributed over the interval of minus delta to delta. The maximum amplitude of that one will be 1 upon 2 delta. And if we take the mean square value of the mean square value of that error, that is the expected value of epsilon square, then that simply gives us the NQ. Yes, NQ, the mass power. So this integrations will be from minus delta to delta, whereas in the case of PCM, this integration we have taken as from minus delta by 2 to delta by 2. So this integration will be from minus delta to delta in the case of delta modulation. Epsilon square into 1 upon 2 delta V epsilon. It will come out to be 1 upon 2 plus 2 by 3 minus delta to delta. After solving it will come out to be delta square by 3. So anyway, you can prove. But if you ask to me, then I will prefer to prove mass power by this method, because this method actual method, and this one is the we have derived the this is not the we have derived the granular mass expression from the expression of PCM, because we know that the maximum error in the case of PCM varies from minus delta by 2 to delta by 2, whereas in the case of delta modulation it varies from minus delta to delta. So we can derive the noise mean square value of that error, which will come out to be del square by 3. So NQ is coming out to be del square by 3. So now, since output here you can see we are writing the output signal to noise ratio, right? So this what happens, this signal, the output of the delta modulation, as we have seen that at the receiver end we use the low pass filter. So it is not like that if this DQ K is passing through this integrator amplifier, then directly we get the message signal empty. Rather, this signal passes through the low pass filter also, then only we get the message signal empty. So similarly, this noise also passes through the low pass filter, and then the output of that at the output of the demodulator, there is a effect of that granular noise. So we can assume that suppose the low pass filter cutoff frequency is FM, F capital M, and this FM we have assumed such that this FM is greater than the maximum frequency of the message signal, because if our message signal frequency, maximum frequency will lie somewhere, suppose here, then we need to take slightly more. The low pass filter bandwidth we need to take slightly more than to that of the FM. F is small m, and this way the F capital M. F capital M is the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter, what we used to use at the receiving end of the delta modulations, whereas F is small m is the maximum frequency of our message signals, which we want to actually convert into the digital form. So this FM we choose such that it is much greater than to that of the FM, or it is greater than equal to that of the FM, but it should be less than, much less than to that of the sampling frequency. So sampling frequency should be lying somewhere here. Why it will be lying somewhere here? Because sampling frequency we used to take twice to that of the maximum frequency of the message signal. So FM we take such that it lies in one sentence, you can say it lies in between this FM to FS. So if it lies in between this FM to FS, then what happens? This quantization noise, since at the transmitter side, that quantization noise gets the high frequency sampling with the high sampling rate. So that will distributed over the frequency range of FM, continuously distributed over the at the frequency of FS. Whereas the low pass filter what we take at the receiving side, having the bandwidth of FM. So because of that only, it reduces the effect of the quantization noise. at the receiving side of the delta modulation. And because of that reason only we use the low pass filter at the receiving side. So this quantization noise at the output reduces by what factor? It reduces by the factor of FM to FS, because low pass filter behavior is up to FM only, and that quantization noise is uniformly distributed over the up to the frequency of FS. So it passes only this frequency band. So it reduces by this factor, that is FM by FS. And FS is, since FM is less than FS, so definitely this factor reduces further. And so this is the output noise ratio, or output noise power of the delta modulation. Now, if we talk about the output signal power, that is nothing but the mean square value of the sinusoidal signal, that is m by square t. So now we can take the ratio of these two, and it will come out to be 3fs. If you take the ratio of m by square t to that of the nq naught, then it will come out to be 3fs divided by delta square, then m by square t by fm, m by square t by fm, right? So this is how we can calculate the signals to noise ratio for the delta modulations. And next, what we are going to calculate, we are going to calculate the signals to noise ratio for the sinusoidal signals. And in that, we try to actually avoid the slope overload distortion also. So for that, I have taken an example, that is for sinusoidal signal. Let us consider a sinusoidal signal which is given by mt equals to a cos 2 pi fmt. Now, these sinusoidal signals, we need to find out the signals to noise ratio. That is, find the maximum output signals to quantization noise ratio in the delta modulated system when there is no slope overload. Like we want to calculate this expression only, that is the signals to quantization noise ratio, which is given as 3fs divided by delta square m bar square t by fm. We want to calculate this ratio only, but at the same time, we're trying to avoid the slope overload distortions too, right? So how can we avoid the slope overload distortions? And specifically, since this way the sinusoidal signals, so specifically we have already calculated the conditions to avoid the slope overload distortion. That is, if our message signal is sinusoidal signals, then the amplitude of that message signal must be less than to that of the delta by 2 pi fmts, so that we can avoid the slope overload distortion. So that conditions we can impose over here also, because here it is asking that find the maximum signal to noise quantization noise ratio. So just by if it would have been asked to find out the maximum signals to quantization noise ratio or the sinusoidal signals. So if we assume the sinusoidal signals say a sin omega t, then the mean square value of that one will be simply a square by 2. So just by putting a square by 2 over here, we can calculate the signals to quantization noise ratio. But at the same time, we are asking that 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 delta modulator should also avoid the slope overload distortions. Then what will be the maximum signals to quantization noise ratio? So only the difference that we need to choose the slope of that we need to choose the maximum value of this message signals to such that it can avoid the slope overload. So A should be less than delta by 2 pi fmts, which we have already calculated. So it should be less than delta by 2 pi. This ts we can write as fs by fm. Yes, ts is nothing but 1 by fs. So fs will go to the numerator. Delta upon 2 pi fi by f. So m by square t. What is m by square t? M by square t is nothing but the mean square value of the message signal. And since this way the sinusoidal signals, it will come out to be a square by 2. So if it is coming out to be a square by 2 and a should be less than to that, then approximately we can take a in the limiting case, we can take a equals to delta upon 2 pi fs by fm. So if we take a equals to delta upon 2 pi fs by fm, then it will come out to del square by 8 pi square and to fs square by fm square, just by putting the value of a to this value, because a is less than, so we are taking the maximum value of the a. So we will be getting the maximum power. So if this will be the maximum power, then we'll be getting the maximum signals to quantization noise ratio. So a square by 2, taking this a as del by 2 pi, so it will come out to del square by 4, 4 multiplied by 2, 8 pi square, fs square by fm square. Now, signals to quantization noise just by putting the value of a in the previous expression here, in place by placing the m bar square t as a square by 2, and a we can put according to the condition of the slope overload. So it will come out to be this expression only. Very simple. So this FM is the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter what we used to use at the receiving side, at the receiving end. And this FM, small FM is the F small m is the maximum frequency of the message, where this Fs is the, whereas this Fs is the sampling frequency. Okay, other data modulators. Whereas 3 by 8 pi square is nothing but the constant. So signals to quantization noise ratio, we can write it as 3Fs cube divided by 8 pi square F capital M F small m whole square. This is the final expression. And this Fs cube we can also write as 1.ts cube. So in another form also, we write by this expression, that is 3 upon 8 pi square F capital M F small m whole square into ts cube. So let us end our discussions over here only. And in the next class, I will be discussing 2-3 numerical questions based on the delta modulations. Then very quickly I will be able to finish the adaptive delta modulations, because most of the things I've already discussed regarding the adaptive delta modulations. What are the advantages of the adaptive modulations are. But also I've discussed that it reduces the granular noise, it reduces the slope overload distances. And then what is the main block diagram? And that will be the in this module 1. So in the next class, I will be discussing these slides. Okay. So meanwhile, if you have any doubt, so you can ask me. Otherwise, we can end our discussions over here only, because it has already been 11:50. Please, any one of you. Do you have any query? If you have any query, you please ask me.
No, sir.
If you
No,
don't have,
sir.
then if you don't have, so we can end our discussions over here only. And I expect that from next time onwards, from next week onwards, you will be joining in that team. Okay. So for time being, thank you. Thank you to all of you.